Welcome to this episode of Elevate Your Wealth, where I'm joined with two friends and two colleagues, and I think amazing people. And we're going to be talking about a lot. Today is more about health and relationships. Yes, they do affect your wealth. That's why we're focusing on them. And we'll talk about the importance of that for business owners and high-performing professionals. So I'm joined today I'm joined today with Mark O'Brien, a business owner, personal trainer, aka remote coach, who also runs a quarterly fitness event. He'll tell us more about that. And Adam Zahr, who owns several businesses focused on educating tradesmen and women. So we'll jump into it. And for the viewers out there, I know a bit about both of you, so it's good for them to know about a little bit about you. So what is your story? We're going to start with Mark.
Starting with me. Okay, so we are going with age before beauty. Okay, so I guess I'll be trying to keep this obviously very brief. My background was originally in, so I grew up in Ireland. I grew up in Northwest Ireland. Did all my, study in Dublin in the Big Smoke. Studied software engineering, really hadn't a clue what I wanted to do. But, at the time, my parents were like, there's, jobs and there's money in technology, so just go do it. My brother did the same thing. So I was always kind of following my brother's footsteps. I hated it. Hated every bit of it. I should have dropped out after year one and did something I really wanted to do. But I did my 4 years, got my honours degree. And I think them 4 years actually really, that was the grind. I think that's what uni is for a lot of people is, can they actually get through it and have the discipline to obviously get through the projects and the exams. So I was out of uni less than a year, went on an overseas holiday and basically used up all my, annual leave. I remember waking up and thinking, okay, I just can't do this. Like someone tell me I've got 20 days holidays a year and I've just used them all up in one go. That just sounds nonsense. So I made the decision to go back and study, and I studied physical therapy. And the whole idea there was, obviously keen sports background and something that I could work for myself in and, have more control over my time and my money. Had a clinic in Dublin, it was called the Harbour Clinic, and it was pretty much me, treating people. It was very manual therapy based, not like, very rehab oriented. And during that time, a bit of an online store, doing a bit of travel. I went to Australia.
Did you use your whole 4 weeks this time, or you
this time I did 9 months. So okay. I did backpacking around Nepal, Southeast Asia, and came to Australia, and that's when I realized I wanted to stay here. So went back to Ireland, had to tie up a few loose ends, and came over here on a student visa. And that's still ongoing.
I'm still on it.
It's still ongoing 10 years later. So please, if anyone from the Department of Immigration is watching this, just sign the goddamn paper. So yeah, pretty much I had to, like physiotherapy and coaching are different, so it was a big shift. I couldn't call myself physio here. I'm a registered physio in Ireland, but can't call myself physio here. So the closest thing that I think I could use my skills to was fitness coaching. And then to try and get this done, a little bit quicker for everyone is 6 years ago, I built a gym, flew a mate over from Ireland, and we built it in about like 10, 12 weeks. And that's 6 years ago now, obviously with a few hiccups with COVID and that. And I think I ended up just getting here because literally just a love of sport and fitness. And my old man, which we'll probably talk about at some point, was my coach, and was just always on the sidelines, and it was just ingrained in me really. So yeah, that's my story. Over to the beautiful Zahr.
What an incredible story, mate.
So bad.
I've learned so much in the last 3 minutes.
That you didn't know about me. Yeah.
Online store?
Online store. I had an online store. Yeah, selling at the time. Because, you had the GFC, and people just didn't have money to come and get, physio every week. I would always, like as a business owner, you don't want a person to leave and not, you want to book them in. And I thought every 6 weeks is fair. People should be getting that type of treatment every 6 weeks or 8 weeks. But in the meantime, they needed help. So I got exclusive distributing rights on a couple of yoga products from the US, had them on Amazon. They were going like all over. They were going to Sweden, they were going to Germany, they were going to the UK. They're going all over Europe, and I had exclusivity in Ireland on standing desks at the time, which
desks.
you're talking 12 years ago. They were Vari-desk. They sit on your desk. You didn't actually have to remove all your furniture. They were brilliant. And then once I lost the exclusivity on that was kind of the end of that store. And I was trying to manage the store from Australia, and that just became very, very difficult to rely on, people over in Ireland at the time. So I ended up having to pretty much shut down the store. And at the same time, on a trip back to Ireland, I sold the physio practice and was all in on fitness then. Sorry.
Amazing. No, thank you, man. Well, I'm Adam Zahr, investor, networker, and scaling coach. Born in Australia, grew up in Sydney before both parents had got a divorce when I was around 7. Grew up with my mother, single mum. She was actually doing her policing degree at the time, back and forth between multiple schools, and then we ended up being moved because of an application that she'd had approved in Ballina, so next to Byron Bay, right on the border of Queensland. So growing up there, it was middle child, older sister, younger brother, and a complete Brady bunch now of step brothers and sisters on both sides, and a completely different dynamic to what we were used to. So being in Ballina, it was probably my 5th school that I'd attended. So that dynamic of trying to rebuild relationships, rebuild resilience as well, because you have the challenge of trying to go from a group of friends into a new group of friends that are already established, and they've had these sustainable relationships was really hard. Football was always my thing when I was growing up. That was my gateway into like the popularity that I needed, because there was so many tough times around being, especially when you're in the equivalent to the Shire. If anyone is familiar with Byron Bay, you know exactly what the demographic looks like. It's a really true Aussie spirited culture.
Yeah.
And being
You don't have blue eyes. Yeah.
no, all blonde hair, and definitely can't surf. So that was really tough. Like having to try and build myself into a town, an environment that was so out of my elements was something that I found really tough. And only looking back at it now, I realized really, really how character building it was. So I put up with all the adversity and racism and all the being the half caste soccer player, and that was something that I had to really get over and really quickly. So growing up with a mum that was a police officer, where authority to me was a real challenge, was something that I quickly realized was one of the key reasons that my bad behavior and discipline issues, and it all stemmed from any, whether it be a teacher or my parents trying to tell me what to do, and then adding a stepfather to the mix that isn't your father is a really challenging aspect as a young lad that's 10, 12, 15 and has the love for his dad but lives 12 hours away, and trying to grow up under somebody else's demeanor was really tough. So I can remember half a dozen times being suspended and not going to school, not turning up, pretending to get onto the bus, and all of these, like this real rebellion that wasn't really common in that area. It was you're going to schools at a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a semester, and just completely financially you don't even understand what it's doing to your parents to have you in that place. So I got to a stage where I turned 16 and I'd just come back from school holidays with my dad, and that was really tough to have a really small 2-week window with him, and then you've got 3 months with your mum. So I made the decision to move with my father at 16. So come over to Sydney. I actually did it for there was a 2-part reason. It was Number one, I'd received intel on a football school that had just opened in the Central Coast.
Okay.
And football being my escape, I used the opportunity to live with Dad, have that relationship again, and then attend a football school that was called the International Football School in Carryong. So that was a challenge. Imagine you're traveling every morning from Sydney to Central Coast for 2 years. We used to leave at about 4 a.m. So my dad would get up with me. I'd get dressed. 4 a.m. I'd be at the Narwee train station, straight to Strathfield, from Strathfield straight to Gosford. And then I'd get a bus to school from Gosford at probably about 7:45, ready to kick off for the first quarter of the day, which was just football. So it was any kid's dream. But then when you're getting home at 7:30, when you've left school at 3:15, it's like it took a toll after a couple of years.
Yeah.
Moved through a few months had gone by, and I broke into the first squad for the school. So what I wanted to achieve was there, but the authority and discipline of attending the theoretical part of that journey was really tough for me as well. So teachers loved me for one side of my abilities, hated me for the other side. But yeah, I quickly realized that football wasn't going to work.
No.
After
You're not the next Messi.
No, and I think that's the most pivotal thing in life. Like if you can have a realistic approach and awareness over where you feel and know you are within your own, like capabilities.
Yeah.
And you can make a decision instead of wasting 5 years, 10 years of your life trying to push for something that's just, it's not going to bring you.
Yeah.
What
I thought I would be LeBron James, but
no, yeah.
Instead, you became John Jones.
Yeah, John Jones, the financial planning John Jones.
So yeah, Mum was a cop for 22 years. My father had two tobacconists in Sydney that he'd had for 20 plus years. Very much enslaved into his business though. It was an opportunity for him to be his own boss. A couple of family members with my uncle and his sister that were, partners and full time with him. So it was an opportunity to just not have a 9 to 5 with anyone. Fast forward now, obviously I've spent a lot of my last 2 to 3 years on developing my own companies, my own businesses, my own development to push to what it is, because I knew that I wanted more for my beautiful wife Sarah and our 2 children Noah and Nina.
Yeah.
So it's just been them as my obligation to fulfill what I know I want for them and the financial freedom I want for them and all the choice that they should have. And that's the journey that I've been on, or a snippet of it anyway.
Yeah.
And he's still only 27. Is he even 27?
26.
26. Okay, no.
That's definitely an amazing story. I think, just from a goal setting perspective, generally the strongest goals come from when you're planning for the next generation, and you just mentioned that when you're trying to do the best things for, the kids. Now, obviously I've met Noah, a very, very cute boy. So, that's the strongest drive you can actually have. So when I get people to set goals, I'm like, you want to set something for the future yourself. Retrospectively still works, trying to make your parents proud, trying to make, people around you proud, but generally that next generation really gets you going. So
you'll always do more for others than you will yourself.
Yeah.
So that driver is definitely something that's I've sustained any kind of goal that I want if it's for other people in my life. So spot on.
Amazing. Thanks for taking 15 minutes for the 5 minutes session of your story.
That's what happens.
I was just looking at the clock.
That's what happens when you bring the boys in. So not a problem.
Well, you did say deep and personal is best.
Yes,
you might need to change your prompts.
Okay, done. Okay, so question to Mark. I think I personally have my opinions about this, but it's good for you as the coach. Tell us, how do you see health impacting success of business owners?
Well, I've just got my notes on that, and I've 2 lines coming out from it's in the first line, like health, success, so like them, okay, so there's a lot of business owners out there that probably are unhealthy and extremely wealthy, and they've spent years and years and years accumulating that wealth, but at some point it's going to cost them. So their business might be successful, but I'm sure there's people in the background who may value healthy decisions, more than them. But I've drawn two lines from that. And like, if you have got, health and success, you're winning. But a few other points I made on that is, like, if you're talking about a business owner and health, like, one, it demonstrates leadership because it demonstrates personal discipline. Yeah. So their ability to prioritize their health over possibly, not over, it probably trumps the business. So in my eyes, if I'm not healthy or if I'm not exercising, it's greatly going to impact maybe the success of my day, never mind my week. So they're demonstrating personal discipline, and they're probably in some way aspiring that their staff can demonstrate that level of personal discipline, not even just in their private lives, but in their daily tasks as well. So I think it's a real sign of leadership that they're able to remove themselves from the business. They're able to have a conversation with their family, the other stakeholders involved, whether it's wife and kids, and that, look, this is really successful to our quality of living, that I'm in a position to go to the gym or whatever it might be at 5 o'clock in the morning or 5:30. It means I might not be there to take you to school or whatever those conversations are. I'm not privy to. But it demonstrates, obviously, a real sign of leadership and productivity and energy. Like, if I don't exercise, my productivity tanks.
Yeah.
Because if I don't exercise, generally, I don't think my day is maybe properly planned because I haven't prioritized where everything else fits in around exercise. So, in a nutshell, personal discipline, leadership, time management, productivity, and energy, they're non-negotiables.
Yeah. 100%.
I think every business owner should be aspiring to get to that.
And I totally agree. I think, the other day, someone was asking me, how can I work for so long, so many hours in the day?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, it just happens. But then I started thinking about it, and it's because usually I'll go to the gym at about 3, 4, and I'll spend 1 hour, an hour and a half, and then you get that second boost.
You do, 100%.
You get that second boost.
You get
when
5
come
hours
back
at the
desk.
back of it.
Yeah.
You do. You just feel good. Like,
Yeah.
it's not rocket science. You just feel good and you feel energized. Whereas people say, I feel too tired, I don't have time. Like, it's the biggest, anyone says that. It's the greatest. You are completely denying yourself and others. You are responsible for your staff members. You're responsible for your family members. And health and fitness plays a massive part in that.
Yeah.
And just cut out the bullshit.
Yeah.
It really is.
Tell it to them, Mark. Tell it to them.
No.
And I think one other aspect as well is even just the emotional health or psychological benefits. You're really distressing and going back home. You might be chaos at home, or you might not be chaos at home, but you feel a little bit more relaxed where you can
You're
go
definitely
home
going to deal with that
present.
better. No one wants to deal with someone narky because, they are, the thing is, they're thinking about exercise all the time, right? All the time. And then it gets perceived as laziness. But it's just mental exhaustion because they're thinking, you're sitting at the desk all day and thinking, I really should exercise. I don't know what to do. And it's consuming them during the day because they know they should be, or they need it, and they probably want it. And then it's perceived as laziness by themselves and others. But really, they've just used up all that energy thinking about it rather than probably just asking for help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going home possibly tired and narky because they're just exhausted.
True. And one more point. I know we're still drilling on this, but there's the mental exhaustion and physical exhaustion. Like, if you're sitting on a desk, it's very hard to then say, well, you go at 5, you're physically exhausted, you're just mentally exhausted, and potentially misplacing both.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Question to you, Adam. So, as someone who runs multiple businesses, and obviously there's the family, there's the kids, and all that going on. How has fitness helped you in running your companies, just to even maintaining relationships with the family members? Like, the other day, I saw you and Noah, and obviously brought him to the gym, and then we walked around a few. Like, to me, that was just amazing. Seeing that you run businesses, but you still have time for kids.
And and coming back to the obligation, when I always live my life by design for what I want to achieve on a day-to-day with them. So obviously growing up when I wasn't in a position of business, there was always that employee mindset where I would turn up 9 to 5, whatever it might be in terms of my day-to-day lifestyle. And I always used to question, what is this going to look like when I have children or I have a wife and I'm leaving the house at this time and I'm getting home at this time, and like how can I really serve them to the best of what I want to? Because I'm a very emotionally driven man. I'm very affectionate in my approach to my wife and my children. And I just know like the littlest things set me off emotionally if I can't do certain things with them. So that was I always used to weigh up my obligations and my fears to what would, if my obligation was heavier than my fear, then I knew I was just being selfish and I just needed to make the decision on whatever I needed to do. So fitness played into that because I wanted to firstly be a desirable husband in every sense. I never wanted the fire to go out within our marriage because I'm the man of the house. I'm the leader of of not just the household, but the companies or my team, or I need to be the forefront of whatever it is that I'm asking from others. So the desirable husband and couple, because if I ever get somebody that says you and Sarah, whatever it is that you're doing is awesome, it's inspiring, I can't wait to have a family, like those little triggers that I used to hear was always when I was optimally fit and my physique was something that I was working on and my businesses were doing well, and it was all off the back of how I would train and how I would discipline myself with my health and vitality. I also want to make sure that I am the hero to my children. I don't want my kids to look up to another man that's fit, or another couple or parents that are disciplined enough to take that measure in their life, and then their parents are the opposite of what they potentially want them to live up to or aspire to. So I want to be that hero. There is no reason why my kids should look up to anyone else but me or my wife. So the commitment that I needed in the gym or to my plan or to my, it's coincidental that I'm sitting next to, my accountability coach and health and fitness, mentor. So for me, it was making sure that was my first driver, because if I did it for myself, there was no, like, I go out, my company's, I know what I need to teach. I know what my team needs to provide. I know what the expectations of performance looks like, but that all starts to trickle off really, really quickly because you start to lose respect from your team members. And when I'm taking my team through a professional journey in the business, and then also in the fitness world, or they're watching what I do outside of those 9 to 5 hours, it gives them a little bit more of a reason and determination to push a little bit better or train a little bit harder or find the time. Because if I'm running companies and you have a role or responsibility within the organization that is half of what I have to do, you have no reason to not be spending time working on yourself, bettering yourself. And it's obviously going to ripple into the success that I have within my companies and teams. So I find that in the morning, normally after I get a message from Mark to see why I'm not,
where are you?
Where am I? Or why am I not in the
Because you're
in
just
the
next
gym?
door.
Exactly. Oh yeah, context. My
Work
gym,
and home.
30 meters down the road is where I have to attend. So travel is not an excuse. But I genuinely feel like I have it's a really strange feel. I actually feel like I'm worthy for that day to actually be the man that I'm saying that I am. There is an acceptance over myself when I know I've trained, and then I go into what it is that I have to do. Yeah. So if I find myself training later in the day because I haven't eaten the frog and put away, the demons of why I should go and train or whatever it might be, I really feel I have a respect for myself to actually, go out there and take on bigger challenges or take on the day by the horn. So I think that is my biggest thing. So I commit early so that I can have the time that's not when my kids are awake and vibrant, and I try and do it whilst they're they're eating or they're going to bed, or so that I'm not taking away from the time that I need. So
yeah.
But how many employees do you think actually see their bosses exercise? Because he's got a number of employees that would train at the gym, and he still breaks their balls when he's still their boss in the gym. But it's very rare, I think, that people see that separation from. I think personally, you hit the nail on the head there. you get elevated even further. You're not just,
Sure.
they're the boss, and then I think it goes up another level. Going, fucking hell, he's really walking the talk here.
Sure.
Sure. But I don't think many corporates would probably have that maybe culture going on.
Sure. Just ability to sweat with the boss. Yeah. So.
Yeah, why not? Like different dynamic. Get to know them on a slightly different level.
Yeah.
Really. So maybe more corporates should look into it.
Oh, 100%. Like even the holidays I went for with my team in the Philippines, I kind of dragged one of them. He was always talking about the gym. I was like, mate, come with me.
Yeah.
Until you're next to the gym.
Totally
like,
different.
Come.
Yeah.
And the end of the day, I was like, Vic, I won't be able to keep up. I was like, don't worry about that. Just come. And at the end of the day, we had just had a better relationship.
It breaks
after that.
barriers. It's sport in general, but it definitely would break barriers, I think, between that, tier status of, the boss or the worker,
True. And I think a key thing you mentioned there, which is very relevant, is you need to surround yourself with the right people, because what you're, doing with your team is ensuring that they see surrounding themselves around you as value to them. Your kids as well. If they see you doing certain things, they're just going to do it. Like I remember my first memories of exercise was my dad getting up at like 4:35 to go exercise.
Wow,
at that point in time, it meant nothing to me because I'm like, hey, okay, dad has gone to exercise.
But it's safe. But it's
correct.
You're talking about it now.
Yeah, but later on, it's like, okay, he was actually putting in the effort. It can be done.
Yeah,
which is amazing.